Homer hastily drives the family sedan with Marge and Maggie through a snow-covered street. They are late for Bart and Lisa's Christmas pageant at Springfield Elementary School. After crashing into a pile of snow at the front of Springfield Elementary School Park, Homer and Marge stumble through a full audience to find their seats. Homer and Marge just sit down in time to see Principal Skinner introduce the second grade. The children do a presentation of different Santa Clauses from around the world, such as Ralph Wiggum's Hote Osho. Dewey Largo introduces Lisa, playing Tawanga, the Santa Claus of the South Seas. Lisa's dance causes awe throughout the crowd. Lisa performs a skilled dance with lit torches, performing tricks such as throwing it around herself. Lisa also wears see-through clothing, effectively revealing Lisa completely at the end of her act. Skinner eventually introduces the graders singing Christmas carols. Jingle Bells is sung first, and after the first verse, Bart picks up his voice volume during the chorus and sings a Batman-themed parody, causing an irate Skinner to withdraw Bart from the performance. Homer gives a disappointed look for Bart's actions, but as the pageant continues, he grows bored and wonders aloud how long the pageant will last. At the Simpson family home, Marge writes a letter for the Simpson family Christmas cards as Homer gets out Christmas decorations and Bart and Lisa write their Christmas wish list. In the letter, Marge describes family life. As she reads the letter, Marge's narration describes her writing and she mentions different family members' names and their stories. Marge soon stops writing due to Homer's grumpy demeanor. Bart and Lisa show Marge their wish list. Marge is uncomfortable and Lisa once again asks for a pony for Christmas, but Lisa remains optimistic about her present request. Marge plans to read Bart's letter to Santa, hoping he would be a bit more reasonable. However, he proves to be the same as Lisa when he asks for a tattoo, which escalates into a debate among Homer, Marge, and Bart. Homer and Marge quickly refuse to let Bart have one regardless. They're interrupted by a phone call. Homer answers to Patty, who refuses to speak with him, requesting Marge. A grumbling Homer hands the phone over to Marge, and the two sisters discuss their plans Christmas Eve. The sisters also find time to criticize Marge's choice in a husband. Homer is outside adding the finishing touches to the Christmas lights on the roof. While the three children watch, Homer falls from the roof, lands in the snow, and calls out to Marge to power the lights. Only a few of the lights actually light up, and Homer admires his handiwork, while the kids are less than impressed. Ned Flanders is also outside, along with Todd Flanders, and ready to plug in his lights for the first time. He calls out to Homer and tells him to admire his superiority. As he plugs the lights in, the entire Flanders house lights up, including a talking Santa Claus on the roof. Lights illuminate everyone's faces, much to Homer's dismay. His kids are very impressed at Ned's display of lights, yet Homer still manages to criticize Ned's work, obviously jealous over the fact Ned's display is better than his own. Marge tells the kids to grab their money so they can go Christmas shopping at the Springfield Mall. As the excited kids run off to get their money, Homer asks Marge where she has been keeping the Christmas savings. She makes him turn around and she pulls a jar out of her hair. It's a very large jar full of money, impressing Homer. Later at the mall, Marge, Lisa, and Maggie look at gifts together. Bart is off by himself and comes across the Happy Sailor tattoo parlor. In the window, he sees a tattoo of a heart with the word Mother written across it. He imagines that Marge will have a positive reaction to him getting a tattoo. So he runs inside the parlor, gives false information to the tattoo artist Mervyn Monroe about his age, and gets into the chair. At the Springfield Nuclear Power Plant, Mr. Burns, the plant's owner and rightful boss, announces over the loudspeaker that there will not be any Christmas bonuses this year for unskilled workers, including Homer. Homer sighs as he remembers they still have the big jar full of money for Christmas presents. Back at the mall, Marge hears Bart's yells of pain coming from inside the tattoo parlor, and she quickly runs inside to see Bart with the heart tattoo practically finished on his arm. She quickly pulls him out of the chair and takes him to Dr. Zitsovsky's dermatology clinic. Bart insists that he actually thought she'd like it. The tattoo removal is expensive but doable and requires a full cash payment up front. Marge decides to use all the Christmas money for Bart's tattoo removal. Although unhappy, she assumes Homer's Christmas bonus will cover future costs. Bart then undergoes a James Bond-style operation. Back at home, Lisa tells Homer what has happened, and Homer freaks out. Marge tells him to calm down, and he'll just have to stretch his Christmas bonus further for the year. Homer fakes relief when Marge mentions his bonus. He tells everyone that this will be the best Christmas ever and steps outside for a walk, choosing to conceal the truth. Once outside, he looks at his poorly decorated house and then at Flanders' masterpiece. A depressed Homer hangs his head in despair on the sidewalk. Marge senses something is amiss with Homer and asks if there is something wrong. Homer almost tells the truth about his Christmas bonus, but quickly backpedals and instead offers to do the Christmas shopping so she doesn't have to. Marge agrees and is content with Homer's answer. The two sleep. The next day, Homer does the Christmas shopping alone at Circus of Values. He purchases pantyhose for Marge, pads of paper for Bart, and a squeaky chew toy for Maggie. While purchasing such dismal presents, Homer uses empty optimism to assure his own self. On his way out the door with his bag of presents, Homer accidentally crashes into Ned and Todd. While he carries an armful of fancily wrapped packages, all the presents are spilled onto the ground, and as Homer picks the few he purchased and sees how many Ned bought, Ned attempts to sort the presents, unintentionally gloating his wealth. At Moe's Tavern, Homer drinks a beer alone, when a cheerful Barney Gumble arrives wearing a Santa Claus costume. Barney explains that he is in a good mood because he has extra money from working a part-time job acting as a department store Santa at the mall. Homer suddenly has an idea, so he goes to the personnel office in the mall, where he fills out an application and is interviewed to be a mall Santa. After he finishes reviewing Homer's application, as well as interviewing him, the personnel director welcomes Homer aboard and sends him to mall Santa training. Homer endures Santa training and shoes with the hypnotist as the teacher. Homer finally gets home late at night, and a worried Marge wants to know where he's been. Homer assures the insignificance of his tardiness and heads upstairs, but Marge tells him they have guests, Patty and Selma. As Homer talks to Patty and Selma, they comment on the fact that the Simpsons don't have a Christmas tree up yet. Homer gives false information and tells them he was about to leave, and he rushes out the door. In the car, Homer drives past several Christmas tree lots. Gradually, the trees become cheaper from the earlier expensive ones. Eventually, he stops at a private Christmas tree farm and uses a chainsaw to steal a nice Christmas tree for the family. Homer is soon met with retaliation. The farm owner fires his gun upon Homer and has two hounds pursue. However, Homer escapes relatively easily. Back at home, Homer stands up the tree and everyone is impressed except for Patty and Selma. On Christmas Eve at the mall, Homer works as Santa Claus while children wait in line to sit on his lap, one being a very greedy child. From a distance, Bart, Milhouse Van Houten, and Lewis Clark watch the children line up to sit on Santa's lap, while they comment on the gullibility of the kids. Milhouse dares Bart to yank off Santa's beard, and Bart agrees. Bart jumps in line and finally gets his turn on Santa's lap. Not knowing that Santa is really Homer, Bart yanks off his beard. Bart is surprised at what he uncovers, and Homer escorts Bart into Santa's workshop for speaking in private, leaving Alfie to cover for him. Homer explains the situation to Bart, who understands and feels terrible for pulling Homer's beard off. Bart goes with Homer and he picks up his check. Homer is surprised to learn that his net pay is only $13, despite his $120 gross pay. When he questions the cashier, she explains that the majority of his check went to pay for the Santa suit and beard, Social Security, unemployment insurance training, and Christmas Club account balance. Depressed, Homer sits down to figure out what to do with the $13. An excited Barney tells Homer that he's going to the Springfield Downs to place a bet with his earnings. He invites Homer to come along with him, ensuring a win of the dog Whirlwind. Homer is reluctant, but Bart convinces him to go, saying that this may be their only chance to save the Simpson family Christmas. Patty, Selma, Abe Simpson, Marge, Maggie, and Lisa wait for Homer and Bart to come home while watching the Happy Little Elves Christmas special. Meanwhile, at the dog track, Barney insists Homer should bet on Whirlwind. After seeing what Whirlwind looks like, Homer is reluctant to bet on him. Just then, an announcement plays over the PA system. A dog named Santa's Little Helper will be replacing Sir Galahad in the fourth race. Bart senses that the announcement is an omen and chooses to ask Homer to bet on him, and despite the fact that the odds are 99-1, which means that the dog's winning chances are extremely rare, Homer puts down all $13 on Santa's Little Helper. Meanwhile, at home, Patty and Selma talk bad about Homer, while everyone else waits for him and Bart. Lisa then explains to Patty how bad mouthing will damage herself, confusing Patty. Back at the track, Homer and Bart anxiously await the running of the fourth race. As the race begins, Homer and Bart cheer on Santa's Little Helper, but Whirlwind, Barney's pick, is out to an early lead with Santa's Little Helper, bringing up the rear. Homer and Bart quickly realize their chances at winning any money are dashed, as Santa's Little Helper finishes last. Homer and Bart look for discarded betting slips, hoping to find one that has been thrown away, with a winner but to no avail. A dejected Bart and Homer head back to the car. When off in the distance they see Les, a racing dog owner, scolding Santa's Little Helper and sending him away for losing once again. Santa's Little Helper leaps up into Homer's arms. Bart asks Homer if they can keep the dog. Homer, reluctant at first, quickly warms up to the dog and plans to take him home. Back at the Simpson home, while everyone still awaits Bart and Homer's return, a sad-looking Homer arrives and starts to confess to everyone about the fact that he didn't receive his Christmas bonus and apologizes for the lack of presents. However, Bart interrupts Homer by introducing the family to Santa's Little Helper and watches the hound run into the room barking. Everyone ignores Homer and falls in love with Santa's Little Helper. Marge forgives Homer and he realizes that in the end, he has done a good job providing gifts at Christmas for the Simpson family. A photo of the happy family is taken. The Simpson family begins singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer while Maggie is riding on Santa's Little Helper. At the end of a few stanzas, Homer scolds Bart and Lisa for ruining the song, such as calling out, "like a light bulb." Homer eventually sings, "Rudolph, get your nose over here so you can guide my sleigh today." However, Bart interrupts once again, causing Homer to strangle Bart while screaming, "Why, you little grrr!"